college. It's a special time. A time for meeting new people, studying, sports, and science.
It's also a time for expressing yourself and finding some peace.
But most importantly, drinking.
When college students turn 21, they enter into a whole new world of possibilities. But with that freedom also comes decisions.
We're here to make one just a little bit easier.
I'm Brendan Burns.
And I'm Austin Hojdar. Come with us as we embark on this journey together to find
The best bar in Rogers Park. Rogers Park is the northernmost neighborhood in Chicago. The area is known for its restaurants, diversity, and its parks. It's Rogers Parks. It's also home to Loyola University Chicago, soon to be our alma mater.
In the surrounding area, there are plenty of options for students looking to get a little crazy, locals to get acquainted with their community, and those looking to take shots at 7 a.m.
Okay, does it look good?
Yeah.
Okay.
A relationship for decades, but obviously it's in a new tension at this point.
All right, Richard, or Peter, thank you. Peter, and that sets us up nicely for former Chief of Staff of the Pentagon and CIA, Jeremy Bash. Jeremy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How would you
All right.
characterize this?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't have to press anything, right?
No, you're perfect.
But after a long week of studying and cramming for exams, students are often looking for an escape from the monotony of college life.
When their enjoyment runs dry, their imagination may seek out a way to quench their thirst. An oasis, if you will.
The Oasis Tavern is a go-to spot for underclassmen. By day, it's a barren desert with few patrons. But by night, it comes alive as a place of refuge where many college students flock in search of an escape.
Yeah, honestly, I think there's a lot of just like, crazy stress going on around in our daily lives, and the O is a place that we can all come to unwind. It's an oasis from everything that's going on, and it's a great place. Yeah.
What are you guys drinking tonight?
We're drinking Coors Light.
This was a Thursday night, a school night, but that didn't stop a lot of students from following the O's motto.
Do you guys like getting drunk?
What?
Do you like getting drunk?
Do I like getting drunk? Do you like getting drunk?
I love it. It's fun.
Why do you love it?
Why do I love it? Well, one, liquid courage, of course. Two, your abilities get enhanced. And three, it just feels fucking great.
And for some people, it's their first time here.
We just got our fakes, today. So, and we're celebrating my boy Sam's birthday. So, of course, we gotta show up. Yeah, for sure. I'm not gonna lie. I love the darts. It's a big thing for me. Being able to toss some darts with the with the homies. I love to see it. All right.
Some patrons prefer a little friendly competition while getting buzzed. Others look for a simple conversation. And this person felt the need to rap.
We at the O. Yeah, we letting it grow. And we hitting all these flows. My boy got the camera, and this is for all the famila. Yeah, what you know about the O?
Wow. Something about the O kept bringing out the best, or a different side of people. And they just kept on singing.
Romeo, take me, they're trying to tell me how to feel this love. No, that's not the right part. But it's real, and that's all I really know. Come on, you know, to a dago, pick out a white dress. It's a love story, baby, just say.
the O is the greatest place on earth, on campus. It's great. It's fantastic. We're thriving out here.
After one of them proposed, we kept talking with this group of friends who seemed to be regulars. They started telling us about this old bartender who used to work here.
Did anyone talk about April or no? But she used to be a bartender here, and she's like the main reason why I come here. Like I used to come here a lot. She had to move away to Michigan because her boyfriend moved there. But she's like the main reason why me, like at least like 30 of my friends like come here like every Sunday, Friday, Saturday. Like she was a great person. Like I wish she was still here, but I love the old still. So yeah.
This guy wouldn't stop raving about the O. He told us about an old man who would bring his dog in every Saturday and sit at the bar. He talked about a bald bartender who wasn't there at the time. He even knew someone who would read a book while they drank. It's kind of beautiful how much he knew about this small bar and the people he's met inside of it.
Eventually, we said our goodbyes and began to weave through the crowd past the neon signs. We started to wonder, maybe the O was the best.
No. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Maybe not.
We were kicked out of the bar, but that didn't deter us from continuing our mission. There was still so much of Rogers Park left to explore, so many drinks to be drunk.
We walked down the road to Bruno's Lounge. The bar has sat literally across the street from our school since 1956, almost 70 years.
Half bar, half liquor store, there's a lot of history within these walls. Local legends immortalized in the stories told.
Inside, we each got a bottle of Miller Lite. As we started talking to people, we found out it was actually alumni weekend. We met a group of former sorority girls who were back in Chicago for the festivities.
Yes, we are. So it's 25 years. 25 years? Yes. So everybody here went to Loyola with me, and then we were all in the same sorority. Do you guys still have sororities here? We do, yeah. Okay. This used to be dark and dingy, and back then you could still smoke in the bars, okay? The floors were sticky. That was always like the liquor store. And then the Oasis, the O.
Okay, yeah. That's a big one.
Yep, the O. Classic.
You can answer this however you want, but how do you want to be remembered?
Me personally, or like from a professional standpoint, or from just like a personal standpoint?
I mean, I'm pretty remembered. How I want to be remembered is probably different than how I'm actually remembered. My nickname in college was Mad Dog. I bought Mad Dog here every weekend. I probably indulge a little more than I would give any advice to anyone else. We also were a work hard, play hard group. Like we all did well in school. We all had internships and everything. So if you're able to manage playing hard and working hard, I suggest it. If you can't, just skip the bars. I've yet to partake in any of the weekend's events. And I have to buy my ticket by 8 p.m. And then we're going to go to Under the Stars. So that will be my first real experience.
What is Under the Stars?
It was a night of magic. Food, old friends, and dancing.
We wanted to talk with people about how the bar scene had changed since they went to school here, and we saw a lady sitting by herself in the corner. She told us she actually didn't drink.
I had a brother that was a heavy drinker, so and I came from my father's side, a lot of drinkers, so I was never wanted to be in that kind of environment type of thing. So drinking was never, so I wasn't able to help me. I wouldn't say it was hard, but because it was something that I've only known. Like, you know, a lot of my time I thought people kind of took into drugs, drinking as a way of coping or distracting themselves from their problems. And at that time, I didn't think people really talk about their problems, and we saw people as drinkers and drugs as being bad kids type of thing, I guess.
We kept walking around, and we saw a guy staring at the dance floor. He didn't have anything interesting to say, but he told us to talk to these guys.
We're students at Loyola, and we're working on a little documentary. Okay. We're wondering if we could ask you a few questions.
Sure. Is it like, is it about weird people or what?
No.
Oh, sure.
You can share it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, times were different. It was a lot easier to get into bars if you were underage, and yeah. But we were pretty moderate. I mean, yeah, I had already gone through my woo-woo era of drinking.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't drink a lot either.
No.
But, you know, it was fun. I mean, when you did do it. So,
Yeah.
and it was safe.
How would you like to be remembered?
And do you mean remembered at Loyola? In life? Wow. Yeah, quite frankly, I don't even think about that. I just live every day and year and try to do the best I can, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
As we were talking, we were told we had to leave because we weren't invited. One of our new friends walked us out.
Have fun. All right, thank you guys. Thank you.
It seemed like the world didn't want us to find the best bar in Rogers Park. And just when we thought it couldn't get any worse, we saw on our phone that Matthew Perry had died.
That night, we decided to watch an episode of Friends. But even that made us sad.
College wasn't exactly what we expected. Our first semester was completely virtual.
Once we were in person, we had to quarantine in our dorm rooms for 2 weeks. Even then, it was hard to meet people. It felt like a ghost town.
We were holed up in our rooms for so long that sometimes the only time you'd see people was when you were taking out the trash. Or doing the laundry. But even that felt lonely somehow.
We were supposed to be becoming adults, but it felt like our environment was keeping us from growing up. Maybe college is never what anyone expects it to be.
So many of those expectations for us revolved around sports. The closest thing our school has to a football team is our club team. Our friends were going to a game that weekend, so we decided to tag along, and boy was it exciting.
It was a game of highs and mostly lows. But it was still an exciting game.
And they even let us help out.
try your best. You got it. Yeah.
Thank you.
The game was getting slow, and we couldn't help but notice everything else that was going on.
The fans, young and old. The refs making calls. The water boy working hard or hardly working, am I right? The announcer even said they were selling shirts at the entrance, but there was no one there.
We were thinking about getting shirts, yeah. But
We waited around until his grandpa came over, and he told us a little bit about the team.
Yeah, my name's Mike Dresnes. I graduated from Loyola University in 1973. And my connection with Loyola was back in the 1970 and 71. Loyola had a club football team like they do now. We won the national championship in 71. And then at the end of 71, they canceled the football season because George Ireland, who was the AD, his basketball school, and he didn't like the idea of the publicity the football team was getting, so he padlocked the locker room. So that's the end of the season. And we felt it was unfinished business. So nothing happened for about 40 years, and a bunch of guys from that 70 team, they got together and said, we need to bring football back to Loyola. So we rededicated ourselves to bring football back to Loyola. In 2012, they started playing again. So
So the program was, I assume, like way bigger back in the 70s.
it was, yeah. Let's just play. It was bigger. Yeah, it was bigger. It's much better organized. It's very organized. In fact, once you graduate from here, you're not going to be able to have that same feeling that they're having right now. You get married, you have a kid, you get kind of the same feeling, but there's nothing quite like this. So we want to make sure they enjoy it.
Maybe he was right. Maybe we weren't spending enough time paying attention to football.
As the game came to an end, we decided we should see a real, or a Division I football team play. So we drove up the coast to Evanston, Illinois to see what this football thing was really about.
We went up to the media check-in to get our pass.
How's it going?
it would be like under Austin, maybe? Huh? We were, oh, okay. We were
not.
Okay, we just weren't sure. We just wanted to check, but okay. Okay. Thank you.
But it turns out we didn't get approved.
It was like we were locked out of heaven, but we could still see all the good people enjoying the game. It was hard not to feel jealous of all the fans going in. But then we noticed a big parking lot of more fans, and they didn't seem to care about going in.
They had everything here. It was a football fan's paradise.
1, 2, 3.
Amazing. It didn't matter who they were rooting for. Fans came from all over the world to celebrate their teams.
Because we're visiting from Ireland and Austria.
And I'm local.
And he's local, so we've got the whole cross-section of community right here.
Are you guys American football fans?
To some extent, yes. For
From
me,
now on, yes.
as long as every American football game involves tailgating, yes.
Hey, I'm Justin. I'm part of the Purdue Reamer Club. I go to Purdue University, and we drive the mascot, the Boilermaker Special.
How'd you guys get this extra
We actually drove it here. So the Boilermaker Special is actually street legal. So.
Could we go in the Boilermaker? Like, is that a thing? See if we can do this. Yeah.
Sorry. They're just kind of hide the Duncan. Don't look. So this is the cab.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
So yeah, do you drive it? Are you a driver?
You can't see from here, but all of the pilots.
We figured it was time to start talking to the fans in purple, and this guy seemed like the perfect one to start with.
Shane, come here. Come here, Jane. This is my new friend, Jane. Come here, Jane. This is Jane. She shotguns beers like a champion.
Yeah, what's your favorite thing about Northwestern football?
That God willing, we are going to fire the university president, Michael Schill, and God willing, we will fire the god-awful athletic director, Greg, shortly.
Okay. What do you think? Like, why is there a reason exactly that you feel that way?
Well, a lot of people feel that way because they don't know what they're doing, and they make the Methodist fathers that founded this good university spin in their graves.
The more fans we talked to, the more people just complained about the team.
What is it about Northwestern football that you love?
I mean, they're really bad, but...
So you're a big, football fan? Or?
No. I'm a basketball fan here, but the football team it's left a bit to be desired.
It seemed like the people who don't have football want football, and the people who have it want even more. No one is ever truly satisfied. On our way out, we ran to the first Northwestern fan we talked to, and it seemed like he was a little upset.
Irrelevant. I don't know if you remember us from earlier, but
We did.
Okay.
Well, it's like, I understand how I'm dressed, but this is a seriously academic school. So what's your connection? One of you went to Loyola. We both went to Loyola. So what are you doing here?
What were we doing here? It felt like we were beginning to lose sight of what we sought out to do.
Northwestern had a lot of serious academic people, so we decided to look for an expert who could help us get back on track.
We found a professor who was a lifelong resident of Rogers Park and reached out to him for a conversation. He told us he had a bunch of saloon artifacts at his apartment and invited us over to check him out.
You ready?
Yeah.
Rolling?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm rolling.
I'm Bill Savage. I'm a professor in the English department at Northwestern. One of my fields of scholarship is Chicago literature, very broadly conceived, which means Chicago history and culture, which includes saloon culture, third places like taverns and coffee shops, and I've done a lot of scholarship on those areas over the years and done some teaching in it.
That's great. So yeah, were you always lived in Rogers Park? Your whole
I've lived
life?
in Rogers Park my entire life, 60626.
Okay.
That's a demographic freak. I mean, when I finished grad, so I go to Loyola. I grew up in Rogers Park, go to Loyola, then I go to Northwestern for my PhD, and I applied for jobs all over the world. I just didn't get any, and so I ended up finding a way to stick around at Northwestern all these years. And it's not just drinking; it's the setting. I mean, drinking, you could take a bottle of vodka home every day and drink it by yourself, and I wouldn't consider that a positive thing. What's positive is the saloon culture or the tavern culture that helps people build communities. There's parallels with other things that people don't question so much. So nobody says, a coffee shop's a bad thing, or a barber shop's a bad thing, or a diner is a bad thing. But those are all, like bars, what sociologist Ray Oldenburg defined as a third place. So your first place is your home, where your relationships with family define who you are and what matters. The second place is your work, where you earn the money to pay for your first place. And then the third place is a place you go to of your own free will, where communities are formed based on common shared interests. These places usually have some commercial aspect to them that cost a little money, but not too much. So like a country club isn't the same kind of third place as Bruno's, right? To put it lightly. When I was an undergrad at Loyola, I never went in to Bruno's until I was 21, even though I had really good fake IDs, because my Bruno roadie knew how old I was because he was at my baptism. If I close my eyes or leave them open and think of where I went when I was an undergrad at Loyola, just between Granville and Pratt, there were at least 25 places you could get a drink. Some of them were restaurants, some of them were straight up bars. Now there's like 4.
He got up and grabbed a book by a guy named George Ade, which is all about saloon culture after Prohibition.
I think it's a really important book because the vast majority of representations of saloon culture we get are from prohibitionists. Prohibition is the story of regular Americans becoming flagrant lawbreakers. But the book is I think, an honest representation of what saloon culture was really like for, frankly, white middle class, non-ethnic people. Aid was one of the sort of an exemplar of a certain kind of writer who's perfect for his time, but not everything he writes really can endure.
He wasn't from Chicago, right? He
grew up in a small town in Indiana and then went to Purdue. The football stadium there is Aid-something stadium. I forget the other half. He was a huge college football fan. He was a big golfer, big Republican, political guy, also probably gay. But as I say in my notes, unprovable, but there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. Basically, his story was always, my one true love married another guy, and I could never go back. But the reason I'm single is any woman who would have me wouldn't be. I'd have to question her judgment. And he does all these elaborate excuses for why he's not getting married and having kids, when in reality he was gay. So, yeah. But he's not going to say that.
We got the idea that Bill really admired this Aid guy, and he learned more than just history from him.
I mean, I'm single on purpose, long-term relationship, but no pressure. I think there's women being in the workforce has led to changes. Like they don't feel like getting married and having kids is what they have to do. So maybe they don't. And all the statistics are people are getting married later. Education matters a lot more. This isn't a culture anymore where you can graduate high school, get a good paying union job in a steel mill, and support a family. Our whole culture is just so much more open about different kinds of gender identity that people in the past might have been like, I got to get married and have kids or people will think I'm queer. Now people are just like, I'm queer, fuck off. And maybe I'll still get married and have kids or adopt kids or whatever. I mean, one of my brothers is gay and he adopted. He and his husband adopted. So we just live in a much more open world about those things, which I think leads to people making individual decisions rather than just giving into social pressure.
Yeah. If this isn't too much, why have you chosen not to get married?
I didn't want to have kids, and lots of women want to have kids, and I got lucky, and at 40 met someone who agreed with me, and 20 plus years later, here we are.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
We don't live together because it'd be cheaper, but I don't want to live in a little house in Evergreen Park, and she doesn't want to live in Rogers Park. And she always jokes, yeah, it'd be cheaper to live together, but then there's the defense attorney and the bail bond and all the rest.
He started showing us more of his apartment with old bar artifacts and trinkets. His bookshelf even had an entire section dedicated to saloons. But he kept going back to George Aid.
Bill knew more about Rogers Park bars than anyone we had talked to, and yet he couldn't stop talking about him. Maybe George Aid was the answer.
Made it to Kentland, Indiana, and found Hazelden, home of George Aid. We arranged to meet with a local historian, but when we knocked, there was no answer. We started to wonder if we had just driven 3 hours for nothing. Maybe this was all just a waste of time.
Good morning.
Oh, hello.
Good morning.
I'm Austin.
Good to meet you, Austin.
Nice
I'm
to
Mike
meet you.
Davis.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is Brendan. We're just setting up something.
Hi, Brendan. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Nice to meet you.
Come on in. What would you like to have accomplished when you leave today?
So the book we read was it was about like the saloon culture in Chicago.
The old time saloon.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, we wanted to, I guess, just learn a little bit about him.
when you think about it, his career was, he was a writer, he was a playwright, he was a philanthropist, he was politically involved.
The tour got off to a pretty slow start.
Obviously.
Our guide seemed a little distracted.
Yeah, kind of, pardon me for just a second. Randy?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, okay, I just wanted to check with you. Bob is out at the farm, and I gave him instructions to go ahead and cut all 3 of those pine trees down, because I think that's what we decided the other day. All right, well, I wanted to double check and give you the heads up on that, so we're good to go.
Okay, sounds good.
All righty, thanks, Randy. Bye. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I've got a farm where we're we have to cut down some trees that are sickly anyway. Oh. And we're putting up some grain bins. You don't really want the trees to fall into the grain bins. It's kind of a bad idea.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
But eventually, we really got going.
If he was in a bad neighborhood, he was always prepared. Try to get that through customs today. Wait a minute, that if I do suicide, then I'm not here. Okay, there you have it. Are you nervous now? And he goes, well, no, I don't think so. And he said, well, you ought to be, because you're going to the Slam. So he had a car called the Rolling Peanut. So.
We heard that George might have been gay. Is that something that?
Oh, the thing is, you get that because he was single.
Sure.
And there is no evidence anywhere that suggests that. I think that's just, kind of a common association. Well, if he was single, he must have been gay. No, you don't have to be. I know. Mm-hmm. I know several bachelors who are anything but gay, but they never got the love bug.
The tour went on for over an hour. We were amazed by how much he knew about this one man. It was like he was talking about an old pal.
Why do you think you find find George Ade so interesting?
I find him interesting, and it's as I've told the kids, and he's got a great line. I am from Kentland. Everybody has to be from somewhere. It doesn't matter where you're from. It's what you do with it that matters. Kids in this area, I think every area of the country at some point, they have kind of an inferiority complex of where I grew up isn't really cool. And my comment is, it's what you make of it, is whether it's cool or not. And here is a great example of somebody that grew up in a little town, rural community USA, and really learned what he could, took what he could from that region, and crafted it into a wonderful career. And I think every little kid that sits out here, if they look at what they can do whatever they want. And here's a local hero that we can follow. Not real complicated.
Yeah. We were going to be in town for a few more hours, so we asked him for any recommendations.
If you want to follow me, I'll show you the inn.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
That'd be great, yeah.
Go find the keys here. So, there are a lot of really just unusual things that
He told us to follow him into town. So we got in our car and followed his truck down the country road to where he worked, apparently.
We tried to get that as consistent as possible. So, welcome to the Old Colonial Inn.
Wow.
Come on in.
Oh, this is awesome.
So this is all original paneling. that we redid, and then these were...
He told us he and his wife ran this restaurant, and they even had a bar inside.
And this is your basic Cheers bar.
Yeah.
And there's George Ade.
Oh, whoa. This is awesome. Wow. He showed us around the rest of the inn and explained some of the history behind it.
Which, by the way, I gotta tell you, that was a long, long time ago.
Is that you?
Is that you?
Oh.
Wow.
When I had hair.
What year? Oh, 1986. Wow.
He had to go to a little holiday party, and he actually invited us along there, too.
Okay. Welcome and just wander around.
Okay, yeah, thank you. The Newton County Historical Society was a treasure trove of goodies.
The people were all dressed up and enjoying their town's rich history. It was quite a lively bunch.
They even had food at this party, and they wouldn't let us leave without getting a plate.
If you want to drop your coats and stuff and go eat. So you guys have got to get you something to eat.
Do you want like this full one?
As soon as we sat down with our food, the locals quickly embraced us as one of their own, and soon we were exchanging wild stories over our meals.
When I first moved here years ago, I just wanted to see that George Ade home that was left. But I was told it had been abandoned, and I assumed it was closed, you know, but quite the contrary. I was just dumbfounded, so I go up the stairs, and I look in the first bedroom door. There is the biggest raccoon I have ever seen in my life sitting in that bedroom, and he did not look happy with me.
Eventually, our new friend had to leave.
We had only met him that morning, but we already learned so much about him and his idol. But we still had a few more places left to go.
The idea of living in a small town has always been scary to us. In the city, there's so much going on. But here, it felt kind of freeing to take a break for a little while.
Sometimes there's this pressure to make a name for yourself, to lead a meaningful life. But here, a meaningful life looks a little different. It's enough to be remembered by your loved ones and neighbors. Everybody doesn't need to know your name. Maybe it's okay if only a few people do.
Everybody has to be from somewhere, a place they call home. And right then, we were feeling pretty far from ours. It was time to go back.
When we got back to Rogers Park, we went to one of the neighborhood's oldest watering holes. Cuneen's is your traditional bar. Cash only, no cell phones, and cheap beer.
The founder of the bar, Steve Cuneen, started this place in 1972, but he sadly passed away a few years ago.
We reached out to his widow, Belinda, who now owns the bar, and we sat down to talk. We learned she was actually a bartender here when she was 19.
Well, I can tell you this, that a lot of the people that were coming in the 70s are still coming in. But Not like they used to. I mean, everybody kind of grows up and then you get a life and you have a family and you kind of drift away. But Steve was a real creature of habit. And so when I came in and I had asked, I said, oh, his name was still on the bar. I said, does Steve Canine still own the bar? Because a lot of time had passed. And I said, does he still come in and close? They said, yes. And I said, okay. And she said, he'll be here in about 20 minutes. So I just sat down and waited for him. And we talked till like 5 o'clock in the morning. So it all it felt good to connect with a friend, somebody from the past, But I mean, Steve was like 20 years older than I am. And so I just never thought that anything, was going to be different or change or anything like that. I just felt like it was good to be back to somebody. I always had a lot of respect for him, but when you're 18, you're not really, you're 19, 20, you're not really looking at a 40-year-old as your companion, but then as you get older, things change. And he was a huge fan of jazz, so and I am too, and so we started going to concerts, and I don't know, within 6 months, I knew. I knew that there was more, but not immediately, You don't always know. He'd never been married before, and he didn't really believe in marriage. He thought it's just a piece of paper or whatever, but over time, we just got closer, and then just one day, I just said, okay, let's do this. Yeah.
What do you think it was that changed? Because obviously you could still just be
right.
living together.
We could have still continued living together.
And I was like, that's really cool. It was
I know it's going to sound corny, but really it's just love. Yeah. It's just realizing that you really do love this person.
Yeah.
I was just talking to a friend who doesn't live in the city anymore, and she was just saying, oh, I just heard, I read on the internet that Canine's is, was the #1, I think it was the #1 dive bar in Rogers Park. And I said, oh, that's cool, so I think the longevity of it speaks to my husband, because he was, so much of the stuff in here he did, he made these tabletops, he, everything, the pews, he found them, he made the little tables, the bookcases, the lamps. There was just a look that he really liked, and this was it, and so that's something that I would never change.
He even made this little phone booth so people wouldn't answer phone calls in the middle of his bar. But now it's an ATM.
It felt like everything in this bar was a reminder of her husband.
What do you miss most about Steve, would you say?
Yeah. Probably everything, he he took care of me, and so there was a lot that he did, and it didn't seem like, because everything was so effortless for him, but just having him here to talk, I think he would be happy about some of the changes. He might not be happy about all the changes that I've made, but I think he would be happy that we're doing well, and that the hope is to keep it going.
A good bar is a lot of things.
It might mean cheap beer and loud music. A chance to get drunk, but because it's fun. Or it might be the place you meet the love of your life.
We often get distracted by our everyday worries.
Finding a job, moving apartments, saying goodbye.
But it's easy to forget these things at a good bar.
You get a drink with a friend, and you start to remember the important stuff in life.
College, for us, is over. And maybe we'll never find the best bar in Rogers Park. And that's okay. We'll have to keep looking.
This is Brendan Burns.
And this is Austin Hojdar.
Thank you so much for watching.